Hey guys, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to answer a question from our friend in the sky about dark entities. And I just want to say, if there's anyone qualified to answer this, I feel it is me, because this is a concept that truly haunted me, demoralized me, and terrified me for at least the first 5 months of my awakening process. I was existing in literal hell realms for many months, and this is an idea and a concept that my fearful mind got a hold of and really bludgeoned me with. And it really was the fear that this concept brought me was so overwhelming at times that I couldn't think of anything else. And it was truly disturbing, to say the least, the darkness that I experienced. But having gone through that, having experienced it, and having learned from it and been transformed from that experience, I hope that my answer to this question will be soothing and helpful and bring wisdom to your guys' process and your understanding of dark entities. And yeah, that's what I'm here to do. Share what I've learned. So the question from in the sky is, have you ever felt that you truly had a dark entity attached to you during your purging process? Or have you talked to others who felt this? Or could this all be in the mind? It's truly demoralizing to endure this entity concept. I'm going to go right to the root of this. First thing, it's all one in the sky. Whether you call it an angel, an angel, or like a spirit guide, or you call it a demon or a dark entity. It's all one, it's all God, it's all divine, and they all come from the same source. Okay? And there is not a battle of good and evil going on. Like, we get caught up in the polarization sometimes of dark and light, and thinking that one is good and heavenly and that one is bad and demonic. But it's just all one energy. It all comes from the same source. And all a dark entity is your unconsciousness, your unconscious darkness, meaning the feelings you haven't wanted to feel, the anxiety, the fear, the sadness, the grief, the parts of you that you've pushed away your whole life and that have been just kind of layering up and stacking up and accumulating, because they don't go anywhere. All this darkness we suppress, all our darker emotions like hatred and anger and all of that, it doesn't go anywhere. It just builds and builds and builds. And as it gets to a certain point, what happens is it can reflect back to us as something super dark, and it can feel like something's attached to us that is just, like it just has, like, I remember one time my aura, my energetic subtle body was filled with so much darkness right when my kundalini awakened, because the kundalini awakens and it literally starts shooting up all your darkness, like bringing it to the surface. And I felt like there was something following me because my energetic subtle body was so heavy. That's what it felt like. But truthfully, it's just a reflection of your own unconsciousness, your own unconscious darkness that wants your love. Because here's the thing, if you ever see a dark entity or feel like you have a dark entity around you or something like that, give it love. It just wants love. That's all you need to know, is that if you think you see a dark entity or if you think you feel a dark entity, that's just an unconscious aspect of you that needs love. And sometimes when the darkness in us really builds up, it can reflect back super dark, and we might use the term demonic or evil or something as a way of describing, like as a metaphor to really get our point across of what it's like. So I get how it can feel that way, but truthfully, this is just an unconscious, repressed aspect of you coming up and reflecting back to you and saying, hey, love me. I can't get your attention, so I have to manifest in something super crazy to wake you up and to bring the awareness of the darkness that you've been suppressing. So all this is just facing our own darkness. And as we face our own darkness, this whole concept, it doesn't even matter anymore, actually, because you see a demon or an entity as you feel bad for it. You feel in your heart breaks, for that entity, because you know how starved of love it is. If we want to use it as a metaphor like that, and when I say it, I don't mean something separate from you. I mean just that aspect of you that shows up as feeling or even seeing a dark entity. It's just an unconscious aspect of you. And I think in the spiritual community sometimes, man, it just seems like maybe, this is just an opinion, I don't even share. I'm just going to stick to what I know. That's what I'm best at, is talking what I know. And what I know is I've spent months in a hell realm. I've spent months feeling haunted by this concept and by the feeling of it and by having so much darkness in me that I literally had like an auric field that was just filled with darkness. And many would say that was being haunted by an entity. But I knew in my heart that it's all one, and it's just a game of energy. And when we suppress too much dark energy, first of all, it can feel like something's attached to us, because this darkness and this heaviness, when it builds up, it just feels heavy, because it's like a huge burden. And secondly, this darkness that we build up in ourselves, especially if we've been unwilling to feel anxiety. If we've been unwilling to feel anxiety, or if we've been unwilling to walk towards our fear in life, much like I did my whole life, this anxiety can fuel very fearful thoughts. And these fearful thoughts, if we believe them and give our power of belief to them and our interest to them, they can refuel more darkness in the body. And more darkness in the body refuels more crazy, dark, intrusive thoughts. And it's just a self-perpetuating cycle. And that's how we can get on this loop of dark entities are real, they're haunting me, they're crazy, they're going to take over. That's all just your own darkness coming up to be seen and to be loved and to be embraced. So the movement is open to it all. Open yourself to your darkness. Let it up. And allow the mind to have its terror movement. Because my mind was literally stricken with terror. My mind was so overwhelmed by how much darkness the kundalini was bringing up. For the first 3 months, the thing is, the mind will make a story out of the darkness. The mind will tell you it's an entity, it's demonic. It will tell you it's super evil, because the mind has never faced this much darkness before, because we've always suppressed it, right? We've always tried to keep the mind safe by not feeling our shit, by not feeling our fear and our anxiety and our anger and all that. But the kundalini awakens, or we're going through a spiritual awakening, and now we've got to feel all of it. And so the mind is just overwhelmed and terrified by all the darkness coming up that we've suppressed, not only in this life, but we're healing lifetimes of trauma in this life. Believe it, we're healing lifetimes of trauma. So that lifetimes of trauma and fear comes up, and the mind doesn't know how to interpret it, can't process it, is overwhelmed, freaking loses it, and guess what? It's going to make a crazy story out of it, And then we start believing that story, and then we start feeling it in our body, and then it's just that self-perpetuation. So I hope that this is helpful in the sky. It's really the thing that sets you free of this whole concept. It's all one. It's all God. Whether you call it an angel or a demon, it's all God. And it just needs love. Like this aspect of us that may feel or appear to be dark, like a dark entity, it just needs love. It just needs acceptance. It just needs a warm embrace. And then this whole concept just dissolves, and you're willing to you just see it all for what it is. It's just energy. And you come into balance. And then because you face all that inner fear, when you let it up, when you let the inner fear up, you don't fear anymore. You're not even afraid of a dark entity. Whatever, you see a dark entity, you love it. You say, I'm sorry you're hurting. I'm sorry you've been starved of love, you know? And what you're really doing is you're saying that to the aspect of yourself that is projecting out to you to be loved. You know, I'll share this example. This will be powerful, and just shows you where I've been. In my first coaching session with Craig Holliday, and if you have never heard of him, look him up. I told him that I was having trouble meditating because every time I closed my eyes to meditate, it felt like there was a demon in my head, and it felt like he would just attack or something. And Craig had me ask the demon, what it wanted. And the demon said, just be you. It wasn't a demon. It was just an aspect of my mind, or an aspect of me coming up saying, hey, recognize me, see me, hear me, love me. I haven't been seen. You've been burying me. You've been suppressing me because of the fear of judgment of others. You've been avoiding me because you think that others won't accept me. And so I had to become something scary to get your attention. That's all this is aspects of you feeling like they had to become something scary to be seen. Because guess what? When it becomes so scary that it feels and we almost think we see dark entities, we finally see it. And it might terrify us, but guess what? That unconscious aspect finally got what it wanted. It doesn't care, what it has to do to be seen when we're healing, because we have to see it. We have to see it. And that's the movement of spiritual awakening, is seeing everything, the light and the dark, and seeing the value of it all. And when you open to that darkness, that is your power. That transforms you. Sorry, I was starting to get a chill there. And I guess I'll share with you, I've been getting a lot of goosebumps and shivers in this video, and that's always an indication that I'm letting the truth come through. So, the truth sets you free, and the truth is, it's all one. And if you can open your heart to this darkness, you will see the innocence in it all. You will see that this darkness really just wants you to evolve and grow into your authentic, true self. That this darkness is not here to haunt us, this evil is not, what we call evil, is not here to terrorize us. It's here to wake us up to what we have been denying in ourselves. So when we stop denying these aspects, when we let them up, when we give them an open embrace, when we stop believing the mind's stories about all the darkness, because that's just a story, has no basis in reality, it's just the mind overwhelmed, and it's temporary. As we let that happen, we feel that darkness coming up, and we feel it integrating, and we feel it just fucking grounding us into our power. And then we don't get scared of it anymore, we welcome it. And because we start to see and feel what it's doing for us, how it's bringing us deeper into ourself. How this darkness is actually bringing us closer to the truth of who we really are. And as that happens, then the mind starts to relax. Because then the mind can see that this darkness is not trying to harm you. It can see that this darkness is actually trying to heal you. And what this darkness leads you to, if you open to it for long enough, it leads you into living with an open heart. And it leads you into loving everything unconditionally, whether you call it an angel or a demon. You see that it's all God and it's all divine, and that there's nothing to worry about. And that anything that feels intrusive and scary and like a burden is just your own unconsciousness wanting to be seen and loved and accepted. So that's the movement in the sky, is see what in you wants to be loved and seen and felt and accepted. And once your heart starts opening, this whole thing just kind of dissolves and melts away for you. That's what happened to me. And trust me, I went through many months, like I said in the beginning, of a really difficult time with this concept, and it was really tough for me. Mostly it was tough for the mind. It was really hard for the mind. But as we let go of identification with thoughts and see that thoughts are not us, and we continue just to open to our darkness, we come into a place of peace and equanimity and, most importantly, unconditional love. And it's in that place that the truth really comes through. So I hope this helps you. I hope this helps. I know this can be hard. I love you guys so much. I really do just love every single one of you watching this video. And I know if you're watching this, you might be going through a tough time with this, but trust me when I say the more open you can be, the more you can just be fearlessly open to it all, the more you will see that this darkness is actually here to serve you, and that it's a gift, and that it's bringing you closer to God. It's bringing you closer to Source. So, I will see you all in the next video. Namaste.